Welcome to Thriving in the Game, a podcast dedicated to exploring what Black women need to navigate the corporate world of technology, offering insights, strategies, and personal stories that will affirm, validate, and encourage you on your journey up the corporate ladder. I'm your host, Alicia. Join me as we learn how to thrive together. So here we are. We made it to episode 10. I truly hope you've enjoyed listening to this season as much as I've enjoyed making it. I have loved the opportunity to feature so many amazing Black women in tech, and it's been my absolute joy to bring this podcast to life. And I'm so honored that I've been able to bring all of these stories to you. As we close out this season, I wanted to finally share my story with you. Though I've alluded to it throughout the season, I was super intentional about focusing on you, the audience, and highlighting topics that impact us as a community of Black women and featuring the personal stories of others who've walked that journey. My main goal here is to create a space of community and connection, a place where you can connect with other women. We can discuss various topics that impact us and source ideas on how to navigate and overcome them. So over the next few months, I'll be focused on connecting with subscribers on Substack. I would love for you to join me there. I've got some ideas, but feel free to share yours with me. And I'd love to know what you've thought about this season, what lessons you were able to take with you, and what you'd like to listen to in future episodes. In the meantime, let me formally introduce myself and let's chat about what led me to create Thriving in the Game. My name is Alicia Cyrus, and I am currently a manager of business analysis for a small organization. I joined them a few months back after taking a sabbatical for a little over a year. I have about 20 years of experience in information technology, primarily in Agile-based project management, and I've served in various roles like product owner, Agile coach, Scrum Master, project manager, business analyst, probably 9 different titles throughout my career, but now I'm also a people leader, which I love, and it's been a part of my journey for probably the last 4 to 5 years. But I've always been a mentor off and on at work and in my personal life. I would say my sabbatical, which I talk about in more detail over on Substack, was originally only supposed to be 4 months. But as always, God has a different plan, and I'm really, really grateful for that time. I didn't realize how much I needed it, but unfortunately, when I'm supposed to be resting, I usually find something to do. So it started with me working with a business coach, Lindsay. I went to her with plans for a product idea. And then I started this 12-week workshop centered on the book, The Artist's Way, which focuses on creative recovery. And then I attended a podcast creation session with producer Hiwa Tegatana, which led me to signing up for the Emerging Voices Accelerator, which led me to creating Thriving in the Game. End of story. Just kidding. But this past year was so full, despite me not actually working, but I'm happy it led me to this place. And so when I look back at my notes from last year, one of the reasons I've really adopted Lindsay into my tribe is because she has the ability to call me out on my stuff. And very quickly, she realized that when I start to do something and it gets a little frustrating, I'll go do something else. She calls it sitting in the hard. And that was probably one of my biggest lessons from last year, was just learning to sit in the hard. And throughout the making of Thriving in the Game, I had a lot of moments where I had to sit in the hard. You don't realize how much of a creative process that a podcast is. There's the technical pieces, there's the software technologies that you have to learn if you want to create something good. It shouldn't just be picking up a mic, although, for some that works. But there's a lot that's involved. And I love that Hiwate walked us through that process. And I love that Lindsay knew that's not how I wanted to approach it. So in order to help me to remain focused, she challenged me very early on to write why I felt like I could do this podcast. And it was really for me to explore, like, why me? what do I feel like I bring to the table to have these discussions? And then what were the problems that I was actually trying to solve in creating this? So I knew I wanted to have something that you could listen to, but it could also be a resource. And it's really interesting when you take time to reflect back over your career and the things that lead you to this place. It really is amazing. And ultimately, it did help me to keep that focus. So when I was thinking about why me, and I won't give you a full history lesson, but let's just say my early career started off with a bang. Though they weren't new to me, I experienced a lot of microaggressions on a whole new level. I dealt with sexual harassment, ageism, gender-based comments, then a terror attack that shifted the entire world. And that was literally my first year in corporate tech. And then in my second year, my entire industry crashed and I went through a massive layoff. I'm talking about 700 and some odd folks were gone in one day. And that was my first layoff of a few, honestly, but I made it through the first few rounds. And so I know what it's like to walk through that post-layoff environment where you're going through restructuring and more restructuring, and you're going to work every day, not really sure if you're going to get the call. So yeah. I've walked through a number of challenges, things that you may have already experienced in your career or maybe possibly will at some point. We can always talk about the racism, colorism, microaggressions, the disrespect we as women in tech sometimes face, especially as Black women, not only from the mainstream culture in this country, but often from men of other cultures. My education and qualifications have been questioned. I've been invited to the table only for my words to be devalued, despite my expertise. I've been told I don't smile enough. I've been told people can't read me. I've even been gaslit when I wouldn't allow others to bully me for the sake of being part of the team. I've had managers I've trusted essentially try to play in my face when it came to salary negotiations or bonuses. And even if you try to sabotage my standing in the organization when it came to me pursuing my master's or whatever their personal reasons were. I've bounced around quite a bit in my career, probably every 1.5 to 2 years, intentionally so, usually because there was nowhere else for me to grow within a company, or we'll call it a misalignment of values. And that kind of grew to be too much. So basically, I've developed some tough skin in the game. I've definitely earned my stripes, and yet I can still say my journey has been fairly easy compared to others. And while endurance breeds perseverance, I've hated how many of those situations just, really caught me off guard and took me by surprise. And oftentimes I just didn't know how to navigate them. Over time, I've obviously gotten much better. And I've also learned to take a lot in my career, not so personally. And I've also been really blessed with wonderful support systems around me. But it's still been a journey. So in thinking about thriving in the game, I really don't believe in relating to others through pain. I've had conversation after conversation, whether it be with girlfriends, whether it was through affinity group discussions and following different LinkedIn authors who talk about the issues we face, the statistics we encounter. And I have a huge appreciation for those that identify as disruptors. We absolutely have to continue the fight, especially now in 2025 when we see diversity, equity, and inclusion under attack. However, I saw value and really wanted to create space for encouragement. I just feel like it's the missing piece, and that was a problem that I wanted to solve. I just felt like there was this huge chasm between encouraging Black women to enter into the technology industry and then those 5, 10, 15 years down the line who were basically ready to throw in the towel and walk away because they were just tired. I've watched countless women walk into this field with passion and energy. And again, my favorite phrase is just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, only to see that light dim over time, even my own. And so it's not like we can ignore what Black women experience in corporate tech. I mean, honestly, in other fields too, right? So one of my greatest compliments thus far has been that women who are not in tech, who listen to this podcast still seem to find it very relatable, but hopefully in the best possible way. But what we experience as Black women in corporate tech often just leads to so much isolation, frustration, and burnout. We can easily identify the problems. Again, we have all the statistics, we live it every day, but we also seem to lack talking about solutions. That's why many of my questions with guests center around how can we navigate, how can we survive and thrive in this game that was never really designed for us to play. And even now, I don't know all the answers, right? Like I wish I could tell you, I know exactly what to do, girl, let me tell you, but I can't. However, I can tell you what I've learned, and I can bring you different perspectives from some amazing women in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s for now. Who knows in the future, who can also share their personal stories and, more importantly, the strategies they've used to navigate this corporate game and hopefully affirm, validate, and encourage you. Those three words are so personal to me. I truly believe, fully believe in affirming the confidence of Black women navigating this corporate space and validating your experiences. No, girl, you are not crazy. It happened the way you thought it happened. But I also want to help you identify ways of moving forward when you experience challenges. I also fully believe in encouraging you as you work towards your definition of success. Thriving in the Game was created to be a space that not only celebrates and uplifts Black women in tech, but offers true community and connection through thriving together. We cannot do this journey alone, and fortunately, we don't have to. In this first season, we focused on early to mid and transitioning career Black women in tech. As we shift into this next season, we'll follow that career progression and explore stories that highlight mid-career to management, and eventually we'll explore the executive level. While we're on hiatus, I'll be sharing content and resources on Substack and Instagram and LinkedIn. I really want to stay connected with all of you. I'd love to see us start to build community and really have some good conversations in the comments. But as I leave you, I wanted to share with you some of the things that I learned from this season. So one, there is so much wisdom around you. I think every guest has reiterated finding a mentor. So do that. Absolutely find a mentor. But I'm not just talking about mentors. Find people in your surrounding community, your family, your friends, the family members of friends, your church members, extracurricular groups. Go have a coffee and just ask them about their experience and expertise. People will share. You just have to ask them.
I remember reading somewhere about how even like your relationships that you have with your managers often mirror the relationships that you've had with like caregivers in the past. Essentially, it's all relationships. And so it's all going to be connected to the things that inform our relationships. And a lot of our values and all of our like imprinting comes from our childhood and our family context as we're growing up. So absolutely, it's going to affect your work. And like you said, the kinds of careers we choose to go into, our beliefs around success, all of that, it's all connected.
And the second lesson I learned was stop waiting to be recognized for your hard work. It's not going to come. I wasted so much time in my career doing this. I really did. But do your work well, but not to burn out. Invest in building your personal brand, putting yourself out there so that you can be seen by multiple levels in your corporate environment. Don't be afraid or do it afraid. Step outside of your comfort zone and meet new people. If you're listening and you're still in university, start now.
Reassess your situation. And then if you are not happy with it, figure out what you need to do to realign it. Possibly it's, I actually don't want to be in technology anymore. Or I want to go a different direction in technology. You are the one that's in charge of your life. But for you to be happy with it, you need to do an assessment of it. You don't want to just go along because the company is going to promote you for what they want you to do, not what you want you to do.
Get to know people in your major. Get to know people outside your normal, comfortable groups. They might just be the source of one of your future opportunities. And finally, be strategic in your career from day one.
Success leaves clues. I know that to be true. And so if you have the opportunity to listen to women who have failed and got back up, found a way to still stand, and are still figuring it out, I want those women young in their career and their age, and I want them to have the tools that I necessarily didn't have.
Honestly, if you want to be in the game, you have got to play the game. Don't waste time trying to sit on the bench. You don't have to be involved in like all of the office politics and all that stuff, but make bold moves strategically that will help you create the career of your dreams.
Do you want to be a person who is true to your word? Do you want to be a person who is reliable, who is dependable, who is trustworthy? Do you want to be a person who is fair to everyone on your team that you lead? Do you want to be a person who seeks to pull the best out of each individual on your team? Do you want to be the person who shows up for the people on your team, right? And what I'm really asking them is, how do you want others to see you?
One final note. Today's air date is April 1st, 2025, but I promise this is no joke. I've got 5 bonus episodes dropping on May 6th. All throughout this season, we've been talking about the various perspectives and potential moves you can make as an early career or transitioning career Black woman in tech. You may find that it's not for you and decide to leave. You may focus on building your career to a certain level while building your own company. And ultimately, you may decide you want to thrive at the executive level in tech. So, in addition to all of the wonderful journeys we've explored throughout this season, I've got 5 profiles in thriving that I cannot wait for you to hear. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Take some time to reflect on what you heard here. Be sure to follow us on IG and subscribe to our newsletter on Substack. Find us at Thriving in the Game on both. If you have a comment or recommendation, DM or email me. You can find my email in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you as we build community around thriving in the game. Until next time, take care.